One of the many reasons to love running is that you really don't need much to get started. Sure, there's plenty of running gear worth investing in eventually, but if you're feeling motivated right now, there's no reason you can't go for a run this very moment. Of course, you're not watching this video because you just want to run today and then call it quits. You're watching this video because you want to make running a long-term habit, which is why you're wondering how many times a week you should be doing it. I'll answer that question right now, and then I'm going to cover some critical factors to consider and the most important rule for increasing how often you're able to run every week. So, first things first. As you probably guessed, there's no one answer here. How much you should run every week depends on a number of unique factors, like your current running regimen, body composition, sleep health, and personal goals. Obviously, if you're already in good shape and you're already doing plenty of cardio, adding a few runs a week to your regimen shouldn't be too much of a problem. Feel free to run 3 or 4 days a week with a rest day between each and see how you feel. However, if you're just starting out, you should probably only run once or twice a week. Like I said, there's no single number that applies to everyone. So let me give you 4 simple tips to help you decide what makes the most sense for yourself. Number 1, take it slow and don't run every day. The first tip is good advice for any new athletic endeavor. Take it slow. In fact, if you can't remember the last time you did any strenuous activity, I'd actually recommend that you put off weekly runs for the time being. You'll be much better off going for hour-long walks or doing lots of stretches. I've included a link in the description of this video to a blog post I did on the most important stretches for runners if you're interested. Otherwise, you're almost guaranteed an injury when you're just getting started. And even something as minor as a shin splint can be enough to keep you sidelined for a week. Plus, for many people, their first injury is enough reason to give up running altogether. So take it slow. Don't run for more than twice a week for the first month, and give yourself at least 2 days of rest between each outing. After that first month, take stock of how you feel before increasing your runs. Number 2, consider focusing on weight loss before you start running. Alright, my second tip will also help you avoid injuries, especially if you're getting into running to lose weight. But this advice may surprise you, because if your body mass index is over 30, I actually suggest that you hold off running until you can get it lower. The reason for this is a study on BMI and running injuries that was published in the International Journal of Sports Physical Therapy. Researchers found that participants with BMIs over 30 were 50% more likely to suffer injuries during their first week of running if their total distance exceeded 3 kilometers, or 1.86 miles. That kind of risk just isn't worth it in my opinion. So while you can keep your combined runs under 2 miles a week and still probably be safe, I'd recommend that you initially prioritize long walks or even hikes and clean eating until your BMI gets to below 30. Number 3, create a running routine that fits your current schedule. My third tip for deciding how often you should run every week is to look at your calendar and create a schedule that you can stick to. Don't just say that you'll run 4 times a week. Check to make sure this will actually be possible. This might seem like overkill if it's only your first week, but this extra step will set the stage for the rest of this initial month. If you deviate from your week 1 schedule, you'll be more likely to do it going forward too, and that's no way to build a consistent running habit. And even if you're a more experienced runner who's just looking for advice on how often you should run every week, I'd still recommend a calendar. How often you can run will depend a lot on your schedule, so put the times and dates on your calendar and keep them there. Either way, before you commit to a final number, give this new running calendar lots of thought and then treat it like a contract written in stone. Number 4, runners need plenty of rest. And lastly, when runners look up how many days a week they can run, it's usually because they want to push themselves to greater and greater distances. Sound familiar? I'll cover the right way to increase your distances next, but I also want to stress that you don't want to risk burning out or, again, getting injured. But both are inevitable if you don't get enough rest. So if you're a new runner, give yourself at least 2 days of rest between your runs. Feel free to take more if you feel like your body needs it. Never force it if you don't feel 100%. On the other hand, if you're a more experienced runner who wants to continue improving, I actually recommend that you limit yourself to no more than 2 rest days in a row. This will ensure that you're not hitting ambitious mileage goals every week by squeezing them into just a couple of sessions, which would increase the risk of injury. Okay, those are my 4 tips to help you decide just how often you should be running each week. As you can probably tell, I'm a big proponent of taking it easy when you start. And that's not just because it's the safest approach to avoiding injuries. It's also because this kind of discipline will be integral to your progress as a runner. That's also why I'm adamant that you stick to your weekly running regimen for at least a month, or however long it takes for your body to adjust before you begin increasing your weekly mileage. To do this, most veteran runners say you should follow the 10% rule. It's simple: never increase your weekly run total by more than 10% of what you ran the week before. So if you're running 10 miles a week right now, you wouldn't run for more than 11 when you feel ready to increase your distance. The reason the 10% rule has become gospel in the running community is that overuse injuries are the most common reason runners have to take time off. In fact, it's estimated that up to 70% of runners will get injured every single year because of some kind of injury caused by overuse. Injuries are never good, of course, but as I've touched on numerous times now, it's especially important that you avoid them when you're just starting out, or you won't get very far. Alright, that's my advice for how often you should run every week. Basically, start slow, but stick to a schedule to build up your tolerance for longer runs. If you're already experienced, apply the 10% rule to continue pushing yourself without pushing your luck. If you have any thoughts on how often people should be running every week, or want to give your own advice on the topic, please share them in the comments below. Otherwise, if you subscribe to my channel and like this video, I'll know to keep making these kinds of videos in the future. Thanks. This video was brought to you by Runners Athletics, makers of the best running sunglasses for men and women. No slip, no bounce, these ultra lightweight sunglasses won't move, no matter the challenge. Gear up for your next adventure at runnersathletics.com.